In the closing years of the 1980s, at a time when global automotive giants were locked in fierce competition for market supremacy, one Japanese corporation made a decision that would fundamentally alter the trajectory of automotive engineering. Toyota committed $1 billion to the development of a single luxury sedan. To put that figure into perspective, this was not merely a generous allocation of resources. It was an almost reckless investment in perfectionism. Over the course of the development program, engineers constructed 900 prototype engines. They subjected these units to grueling real-world testing across 1.67 million miles before a single production vehicle ever reached a customer's driveway. The engine that emerged from this obsessive process would eventually power a Lexus sedan past the 1 million mile threshold without requiring a single rebuild. That achievement alone raises a question that continues to haunt automotive historians and working mechanics alike. Why do Japanese engines from this particular era outlast nearly everything else that rolled off assembly lines during the same period? The answer, according to veteran technicians who have spent decades dismantling these power plants, lies in a series of deliberate engineering choices that Western automakers quietly abandoned long ago. After the devastation of the Second World War, Japan's industrial infrastructure lay in ruins. Resources were scarce, budgets were razor thin, and there was absolutely no margin for waste. Out of that environment of enforced discipline emerged a manufacturing philosophy called Kaizen, a Japanese word that translates to continuous improvement. Toyota was among the first to adopt this principle, constructing an entire production system around the radical idea that every single worker on the factory floor possessed both the authority and the responsibility to halt the assembly line if they spotted a defect. Inside the Toyota manufacturing plant in Takaoka, any worker could pull a yellow cord known as an andun. The moment something appeared even slightly wrong, the entire line would come to a stop. A team leader would investigate the issue, and if the solution required adjusting a component fixture by 3 millimeters, they would adjust it by precisely 3 millimeters. Consider the implications of that kind of precision applied to an engine assembly line. No defect was deemed too trivial to investigate. Western automakers during the same period were chasing production volume, prioritizing speed over precision, and addressing mistakes only after vehicles had already been shipped to dealers. Japanese manufacturers were executing the opposite strategy, treating each flaw as an opportunity to make the next engine marginally more perfect than the previous one. Build it correctly from the beginning, and you eliminate the need for subsequent repairs. By the time the 1990s arrived, Kaizen was no longer a corporate slogan. It had become embedded in the DNA of every engine that emerged from Japanese production facilities. Every gasket, every bearing surface, every torque specification had been refined through thousands of incremental corrections accumulated over decades. The result was not a sudden technological breakthrough. It was the accumulated weight of a million tiny improvements, each one invisible on its own, but collectively producing engines that simply refused to wear out. Most discussions about Japanese reliability focus exclusively on what transpires inside the factory walls, but there exists an external pressure that shaped these engines with equal force. It is called Shaken, a mandatory vehicle inspection system that requires every car in Japan to pass a rigorous safety and emissions examination every 2 years after its third year on the road. These inspections are thorough, and they are expensive. For older vehicles, the cost of passing Shaken can approach the residual value of the car itself. This creates a cultural phenomenon with direct consequences for engine quality. Japanese drivers tend to replace their vehicles far more frequently than their American or European counterparts. Cars that are only 5 or 6 years old with barely 60,000 miles on the odometer are routinely retired and sent to auction. For the domestic market, this means Japanese automakers cannot afford to build engines that develop problems at low mileage. The reputational damage would be immediate and severe. Every car is expected to pass Shaken without issue for at least the first several inspection cycles, and that expectation is engineered into the manufacturing tolerances from the very first bolt. But there exists a secondary effect of this system that most people outside Japan never hear about. All those low-mileage retired engines flood the international export market. Mechanics in Australia, the Middle East, Southeast Asia, and Africa have been importing these engines for decades, installing them in everything from work trucks to taxi fleets. And these technicians report consistently that the engines arrive in near-new condition before proceeding to run for another 200,000 miles without complaint. The simplest explanation for why these engines achieve such extraordinary longevity is also the most frequently overlooked. Japanese engineers in the 1990s deliberately designed their power plants to operate well below their theoretical stress limits. While European manufacturers were extracting maximum horsepower from every cubic centimeter of displacement, Japanese engineers were asking an entirely different question. How little stress can we impose on these components while still delivering adequate power? Honda's naturally aspirated engines from this era are the clearest example. The The D Series and B Series 4-cylinder engines employed controlled compression ratios and conservative valve timing to produce reliable power without pushing internal components anywhere near their breaking point. A Honda Civic engine from 1995 was not attempting to win a horsepower war. It was engineered to survive 200,000 miles of daily commuting without requiring so much as a valve adjustment. Toyota followed the same logic with engines like the naturally aspirated 2JZGE, a 3-liter inline-6 that shared its heavy-duty cast iron block with the turbocharged variant, but operated under far less internal pressure. The result was an engine where the bearings, pistons, and sealing surfaces experienced only a fraction of the wear they were designed to handle. Mechanics who disassemble these engines at 300,000 miles routinely describe the internals as appearing like they have covered half that distance. The 1990s represented a transitional decade for automotive technology. European manufacturers were adding turbochargers, complex electronic management systems, and increasingly intricate emissions controls. Japanese manufacturers adopted a different approach. They kept things simple. The majority of Japanese passenger car engines sold during this period were naturally aspirated. That meant no turbo lag, no wastegate failures, and no intercooler leaks to worry about. Fewer electronic sensors, fewer vacuum hoses, and fewer components that could fail between scheduled services. The Honda Accord from 1997 featured a straightforward port fuel injection system, a mechanical throttle cable, and an engine management computer that handled the essentials without attempting to do everything. However, it would be a grave mistake to confuse simplicity with laziness. This was not a lack of ambition. Honda had already demonstrated they could build advanced technology with VTEC. Toyota was developing direct injection for their lean burn engines. These companies possessed the capability to add complexity. They chose not to because their engineering culture prioritized the number of miles between failures over the number of features on a specification sheet. By the early 1990s, the global automotive industry was rapidly transitioning to aluminum engine blocks. Aluminum was lighter, it improved fuel economy, and it was easier to cast in complex shapes. For most applications, it was strong enough. But Toyota examined their inline-6 program and made a different decision. The 2JZ engine family, introduced in 1991, utilized a cast iron block. It was heavier than aluminum. It added weight to the front of the car. And Toyota selected it anyway because cast iron offered something aluminum could not: structural rigidity under sustained thermal and mechanical stress that would not degrade over hundreds of thousands of miles. The 2JZ's closed deck cast iron architecture meant the cylinder bores maintained their geometry even under extreme heat cycling. There were no water ports surrounding the cylinders, which made the cylinder walls exceptionally stiff and resistant to distortion. For the turbocharged GTE variant, this design became legendary among performance tuners who discovered they could push 700 horsepower through the stock bottom end without cracking the block. But for everyday drivers, the benefit was different and arguably more significant. The block simply did not wear out. What actually destroys an engine? It is not horsepower. It is heat and friction. Japanese engineers in the 1990s understood this better than anyone, and they designed their cooling and lubrication systems with margins that bordered on excessive. Toyota's 1UZ featured an integrated oil cooler built directly between the oil filter and the engine block. This was not an aftermarket accessory or a performance option. It was standard equipment on every single production unit. Even though the engine operated well within safe temperature ranges in virtually every climate on Earth, Toyota added it because they were engineering for the scenario where everything goes catastrophically wrong simultaneously. Desert heat, prolonged idling, towing a heavy load uphill. If the engine could survive that combination, it could survive anything. And that philosophy of over-engineering every component until failure became essentially impossible is what set these engines apart and allowed them to achieve the kind of longevity that modern automotive manufacturers have largely abandoned in favor of planned obsolescence and shorter replacement cycles.